third item that I would like to pick up is more in terms of this entire LIBOR or IBOR reform that I briefly talked about. This, friends, has a very critical business impact. As you may be aware that from the end of 2021, LIBOR as a benchmark will no longer be relevant. Banks will stop publishing LIBORs. Now let's take into account what this means. And this does not have impact only for a bank which enters into derivatives or gives loans. Let's take an example of a company which raises money using ECB. Because this is a floating rate loan, the interest payments will be LIBOR dependent. It's estimated that USD $350 trillion worth of transactions are denominated in LIBOR alone. So this is a business impact. What would one need to do? One would need to renegotiate agreements, because instead of LIBOR, you will now have a new benchmark, which could be SOFR if you are in the US. It could be a SOFIA if you are in the UK, or if you are in the Eurozone. Substantial changes are heading us. Legal contracts have to be rewritten, the accounting impacts have to be reassessed. There could be a commercial impact in terms of the pricing. All of these are massive accounting changes. What impacts us currently is the entire piece of hedge accounting. A very quick 1-minute summary of what the hedge accounting requires. Basically, there is a risk that is sitting on the balance sheet. There is a derivative that an entity picks up to hedge that risk. Now, if as a company, I have borrowed money using ECB, I will end up paying LIBOR plus 3% interest to my counterparty. So my risk is, as LIBOR increases, my interest payout increases. To hedge this risk, I enter into an interest rate swap, wherein I end up paying a fixed rate of interest. The floating rate that I receive, which is the LIBOR, is what I pay to the lenders of the loan. Now, one of the key bases on which the hedge accounting premise works is that the underlying and the derivative have both got to be the same, or have to be on the same basis. Now, let's take the example where if LIBOR gets replaced by a SOFR or a different rate, right? Now, my loan is denominated in SOFR, and the calculation of that rate is also different from how LIBOR gets calculated. My derivative would have probably been linked to LIBOR, right? So two differences arise. One is LIBOR and SOFR are not comparable. If those are not comparable, then it could automatically have an impact on my hedge accounting relationship, right? Because the premise of hedge accounting is that the risk and the underlying both have to have the same basis. They should be economically similar. Now, if my derivative is getting replaced, instrument is getting replaced, the underlying risk is changing. And there is a reason why the underlying risk is changing, is because LIBOR was a forward looking rate. SOFR is a backward looking or a historical rate. LIBOR was based on polling, whereas SOFR, or the new proposed rate, is going to be based on observed behavior or volume of transactions. So those two are fundamentally different. And if this amendment in hedge accounting had not come about, all the hedges that people had in the balance sheet would have got disqualified, and all the entire mark to market would have started hitting P&L. So consequent to this IBOR reform, basically what the amendment states is this, that only for those relationships where the reform gives rise to uncertainties about interest rate benchmarks or the amount of the interest rate benchmarks, do you have the option to continue hedge accounting even if the benchmark has changed. So going forward, if the change in my hedge accounting is only because LIBOR gets replaced by SOFR, my hedge accounting does not get impacted. I can continue to designate that relationship as a valid or an effective hedging relationship. So that is something that has got changed under Ind AS 109. A logical question to those of you who are familiar with Ind AS 109 is that if LIBOR is changing to a new rate, how does it impact some of the other aspects of accounting for financial instruments? Now, that is a change which under Ind AS we will probably see in the subsequent quarters, but under the IFRS framework, that change has already been announced. So very recently, in early September, the IASB has completed phase 2 of the IBOR reforms project. Basically, it is giving an exemption in terms of modification accounting. It says as long as the new terms are economically equivalent to your existing terms, you don't have to modify. Once again, friends, you would recall that if you had to modify a financial instrument, you would need to present value the new cash flows at the current market rate, compare that to the carrying amount, and recognize a difference in P&L. Similarly, with the hedge accounting, if the hedging was to fail, you would once again have to designate a new hedging instrument to the revised hedged item. So a lot of more relaxations or practical experience will come our way. I will share this presentation as well as we go at the end after the webinar, so that this will be a handy reference point for you. So basically, this is what I was saying, that IBOR is a forward look, is a forward look, it is, sorry, LIBOR or IBOR was a forward looking rate. It had a term structure. You could get LIBOR for different durations. SOFR, or the new rate, is a risk free rate. It's an overnight rate based on historic transactions. So naturally, if you had to equate a forward looking rate to a existing risk free rate, there would be the addition of a fixed spread. And that is the accounting complexity that IASB has tried to address in the phase 2 of the reforms. Again, it's got announced no practical application for Q2, but a very relevant item to watch out for. If you have a large number of derivatives which are linked up to MIFOR or large ECBs, this reform is something you should try and keep a close watch on, and it impacts commercials as well. So that's what we wanted to cover in terms of the updates on the account